everyone, welcome back to another podcast. It's another day in New England, not really worth getting outside. We've moved into a bitterly cold pattern, although today we're getting some snow flurries, and next couple days we're going to be getting back into yet another rainy pattern. So, yeah, getting outside is still kind of tough, but one of the things I want to talk about today is the point of people saying that someday I will, when I retire, I will, when the kids move out of the house, I will. Truthfully, if you wait, you won't. My seminary pastor, yes, I went to seminary when I was living down in North Carolina, but my seminary pastor had this saying, and he was particularly talking about doing mission trips and being involved in working in the church, but also, let me loosen this up a bit. Also, he was also referring to, just getting out and travel and getting out in nature and other things. And he always said that if you wait, you won't. If you wait till the kids are older, you're going to get into this pattern that you never did it before, and you're going to be at the point of, what do I do now? Empty nest syndrome. I've waited this long. If you wait till retirement, when he was of the retirement age, he has said, now that I retire, I do not have the physical ability or energy to do some of the stuff that I had said I would do when I retire. And truthfully, life moves fast. It's hard to believe that I spent 20 years in North Carolina, 1 year in Florida, and I've already been back in New England for 5 years. I'm an older adult now. I just had another birthday. I've just turned 55. And I'll tell you that at 55, I cannot do the things that I used to be able to do when I was in my 20s, 30s, or teens. There was a lot of things I probably wish I would have done. A lot of things I wish I could have tried and that, but no, I waited. And unfortunately, things happen over time. Years go by fast. Your physical ability changes, your health changes. You could have a car accident, God forbid. You could injure yourself. You could have health issues come upon you. You could just not have the time. Career takes over, family takes over. So I always tell people that I'm working with now, especially if they're younger, do these things now. Do not wait. Do not put them off. If you love to travel, take a trip. If you're a nature person, get out there in nature and do it. If you're want to start a business, start a YouTube channel, or whatever, get out there now, because otherwise you are definitely not going to do it, and it's not going to get any easier as life takes over when you get older. And I'm a true testament of that myself. Back in my 20s, I went on a hike. We climbed Mount Kokora. Could I do that these days? It depends on the trail, the steepness, and how many miles the trail is. Not sure I could do that. One of the things I used to love to do was go to a place called Beavertail, Rhode Island. If you ever been there, it's on the island of Jamestown, in the town of Jamestown. And that place is set up so that in order to get down to the water to do any sort of fishing, you pretty much have to scale down a 40-foot cliff, then jump out over the rocks in order to fish. Hopefully the tide doesn't change, because you'll have to quickly jump back if high tide's coming in. And then to get done, you have to scale up that 40-foot cliff. When I was younger, that was not a problem. A couple years ago, I went to Beavertail and tried it and found out that, I am not as young as I used to be. Climbing down a 40-foot cliff with fishing gear, jumping out over rocks, fishing all day, or for 12 hours before the tide came back in, and then jumping over those rocks again, climbing over rocks, boulders, and then up another 40-foot cliff. Yeah, I just cannot do that anymore. I do not have the stamina for it, getting too old for it. I've never been much of one to climb trees when I was younger, although I've climbed a couple, but I've never hunted out of a tree stand or a tree blind. And let me tell you, now I could not climb a tree even if I wanted to, not at my age. Many of my friends have given up hunting out of a tree stand also. When I was younger, riding my bike for miles did not really seem to be that difficult. Now, at my age, and after some of the issues that I've had riding my bike for 10, 12 miles, although I did a 12-mile trip last year from East Providence to Colt State Park in Bristol. It was 12 miles one way, which also some of the side areas that I took made it like almost a 26-mile round trip. By the time I got back, I was tired. Thank God it was mostly flat, because had there been a lot of hills and all that, there's no way I could have done it. Getting out trail riding is a lot more difficult. So yeah, do these things while you're young. Do them while you have the energy. Do them while you have the health. Do them while you have the time. Make time to do it. And I know some of you are going to say, well, you know, I have kids I'm trying to raise. Now is the perfect time to get your kids away from those video games and out in nature. When I was a kid, we did not have the internet. Now, I'm showing my age, but yeah, we did not have the internet. We did not really have the video games that we have now. Yeah, we had Atari 2600 systems, maybe a Commodore 64. But we really did not play the video games. We were out in the winter ice skating, sledding, summertime, springtime, fall time. We were riding our bikes, you know, walking through the woods, playing sports outside. Our dads took us fishing. Some of you lucky enough to have dads that took you hunting. Our family camped, whether it was a homemade camper in the back of a pickup truck, or it was tent camping. You know, we went camping. We had a lot of opportunities to get outside and enjoy nature. One of the things I'll be glad about when this winter gets over with is these head and chest colds. I don't have one right now, but it sounds like my voice is getting a little bit froggy. But yeah, we had a lot of opportunities to get outside, enjoy, explore nature. We did some travel. I did some travel in my 20s, getting out camping and such. And, you know, for a while I had stopped because of family and work obligations. And truthfully, it was kind of hard to get back started in that because I had not been done it in a while. I didn't have the gear, so I had to reacquire all the gear. And then I had to make time because of family obligations and all that stuff. So I say every opportunity that you can to get out in nature, to get out, explore different things, to travel, see different sites. You know, don't be so much on acquiring things. You know, spend that money, you know, making new experiences. I know many people now that are in their retirement age, they're in their 70s and 80s, and they're just like, yeah, I thought when I retire I would be able to travel, go places, but now I just can't. And yes, life is getting more expensive, which unfortunately money does play into it. I remember when I could rent a hotel or motel room for between $50 and $110 a night, and these are not your cheap, you know, full of fleas, bed bugs type of hotels. These were pretty, you know, nice ones. You know, the most you paid probably was $175 a night with a lot of amenities. Nowadays, I look at these places and they're averaging $400 to $500 a night, especially during peak season. So yeah, prices are probably only going to go up from there. So I say do it now. Do it now while you have the time. You have some fun set aside. You know, just get out there before you can't anymore. And, you know, this, like I said, there's a lot of things I wish I could do. I wish I could, you know, backpack and go out in the backwoods for a week to a month's time in a mountainous region, but I don't have the physical stamina to do that. I could probably build myself up again, which would take a lot of work. Right now, I'm not at a point of doing that physically because I've got some things going on. But not only that, also, a lot of my friends do not get out anymore. I don't know if they just got old or, their physical abilities or what. Some of them have some real bad physical abilities that, they cannot get out and do the things that they want to anymore. So when I asked a lot of my friends, if they would accompany me on some of these fishing trips or backpacking trips or camping trips, I get turned down. They just don't do it anymore. They don't want to take the time to it. They don't want to deal with the gear. They you say they're not in the physical ability to it. I got a friend that I don't know if he can even fish anymore because he had a shoulder issue and a car accident, and they were questioning whether or not they'd be able to do surgery because of his health issues. I had another friend who told me about some stuff locally. He said no. He goes, I'm not going to hike 3 miles into the woods or down trail to see if that is still there or not and then hike back. So I never got to go to that place because I really don't know where it is. He knew where it was, but he said, no, I'm not about to do that nowadays. And a lot of people, they're just like, nah, getting out camping is just not for me anymore. I just don't enjoy sleeping on the ground, cooking outside, which is a shame. I mean, when I am out in nature, truthfully, my mind is at ease. I have less stress. All my worries go away, which is why one of the reasons why I picked up photography. And now that I really don't offer photography services anymore, that I love getting back to my landscape and nature photography, which is why I started a YouTube channel to get out in nature and show you how peaceful and enjoyable nature can be. I love fishing, and when I'm doing these activities, my mind is not on the stresses that society brings. The stresses of work, stresses of marriage. I don't have any kids, but people say the same thing. Their mind is not on the stresses of kids. They're just able to get out, enjoy nature, just the peace of it, just to be alone, have some reflection time. So, yeah, you really need to get out. And I say do it while you're young. Do it while you're young. Because if there's places that you want to see, chances are when you get older and you don't have the physical abilities or the stamina to do it anymore, then you're missing out. I wish I'd done a lot of things when I was younger. I wish, when I was younger, I took some different routes in life, but it was also a different time. When I was young, I got more focused on a career, which unfortunately, since the recession of 2009, that career path has totally changed. I was running my own business, but industry has changed, economy has changed, and now that I want to do a lot of the things, I'm older, I cannot do it. Not only that, it's expensive, so I would have to save a lot more money, although I am kind of at the point right now where my time I would love to just spend outside. So I pack my own food, I do cooking outside. Unfortunately, in New England, you really can't boondock or do dispersed camping. A lot of places it's just not allowed. You can find spots to do it and not get caught or not get questioned, but truthfully, New England, we really don't have that like out west with the BLM lands. Around here, your state forests is hard to find. There are some places up in New Hampshire and Maine that allow it, but yeah, I mean, I just say get out and enjoy life while you're younger. Life happens way too fast. So if you're looking to get started, doing it now, whether you're younger or older, what are some of the things you can do to just get out and do things? Typically, my day off, if I'm not stuck in the house or have family obligations, I will take a drive somewhere. I will pack my camping stove, pack some food, maybe my fishing rod if it's fishing season, maybe my hunting gear if it's hunting season, and I will just go out for a drive. Always have my camera on me, whether it's a phone, my GoPro, or my little Sony ZV-1. I will take pictures. I will film my journey. I will show you where I'm going. I will just enjoy the day out in nature just to get away, whether it's just a little roadside area, whether I hike deep in the woods, or whether I spend the day on the lake fishing. If I have more time and the weather's good, I will pack my tent and go camping for a weekend. Don't like to do just a one night camp because of all the setup and then the tear down afterwards. A lot of your campgrounds you cannot get in till 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then you have to be out by 11 in the morning. So that's kind of less than 24 hours. You're rushing to set up before dark, and then you're kind of rushing to tear down in the morning. I'd like to go for 3 days. That way there I have 2 nights camping. But I have done a one night overnight trip before in the last days that I had my dog, and I really enjoyed it. So I like to get out camping, even though I don't really hike as much as I used to, especially because of the weather. I used to like to get out on my bike. I have a 21 speed Nishiki, which is not really a true name brand, but it is a good mountain slash trail bike. I don't do the fast pace mountain biking, the downhills and jumps and curves and bridges and all that, but I used to like to get out trail riding. It gives me a quicker means of transportation to get around out in the woods. But lately I find that walking is a lot better, especially with some of the storms we've been having. There's been a lot of blowdown that's not been getting cleaned up. There's been a lot of flooding lately, and sometimes just maneuvering without a bike and being on foot is a lot easier, even though it's slower. Plus, also on foot, you can take the time to actually slow down and really look at things instead of kind of speeding by on a bike. Although, I posted some videos in the past about getting out on your bike and packing your gear. But I don't really get out much on my bike anymore since I'm older. We'll see what the future brings if I sell the bike or if I decide to get out back on it. But yeah, those are just some of the ways to get out now. Every year I make sure that I take a autumn trip to photograph and film the autumn foliage. And I've been trying to cover a lot of the states that I've been in. I spent 20 years in North Carolina. So I have a video from the Blue Ridge Parkway, one of my goodbye to North Carolinas when I was moving out. Also have Boone and Blowing Rock video in the fall that was done back in the early 2000s. I think that video is probably in 720p or maybe even 480, since it was before all the recent camera upgrades and everything that they've come out with. Since I've been back in New England, Florida, there's not much fall foliage, but anyway. Since I've been back in New England, I've covered Rhode Island, parts of Connecticut, parts of Massachusetts, parts of Vermont. I'm looking probably next year to do New Hampshire, and then I want to do a 1 or 2 night stay up in Maine, because the places I want to go to Maine are pretty much a 6 to 7 hour drive. Maine's pretty big. I did a trip when I was younger with my dad during the summer, the year that he passed. It was his last trip, and he ended up passing away probably about 3 days afterwards. And then the year after he passed, I went up through Vermont and also Maine, but it was also during the summertime. I want to get up there for the fall foliage. And now it's probably a lot easier that I don't have a dog, even though I still miss him terribly. He was my adventure buddy. My wife and I, hopefully, we're going to plan on doing a little bit more travel, one night or overnight stays, but a lot of that right now is up in the air with a lot of things going on, and that's another thing. A lot of things going on. Life changes. Life happens fast. You know, between her work schedule, different issues here and there, you know, we don't know when we could actually find time together or make this time, especially with how expensive things have gotten. So, yeah, again, life changes. Do it now. Do it when you're younger. Don't wait. We waited a long time before doing some of this stuff that we want to do, and now it's come down to, it's like, well, are we going to have the money to do it? Are we going to have the health to do it? Can she stand the longer car rides to do it? If I find a place that I would like to go and take pictures, do I have the stamina and health to be able to hike all those ways? Because right now, hiking 5 miles for me is pretty much out of the question. At least for right now. We'll see. We'll see what happens for the future. Life changes. Life happens quick. So, but yeah, don't wait. Did I ever think I would see myself in a position where I would question whether or not I would go out and do things? My 20s and 30s? No. I did not see myself in that situation at all. Now that I'm older and in my 50s, there's a lot of things I question. You know, I look at trail maps now, I look at trails. Heck, when I was younger, I used to ski. I used to downhill ski. Wasn't the greatest at it. I remember one time after being on a couple beginner trails with a coworker, trying to teach him the basics on skiing since he'd never been on skis before, and there was an instructional group starting up that he could just join in because they had free instruction during the day. He was going to go take that, and I said, okay, well, I'm going to head over to the next slope over, which was a little more of a downgrade by the looks of it, and I said, I'm going to go ahead and ski that. So I got on the ski lift. Little did I know that that slope and that ski lift actually started at the top of the mountain that we were on. Yeah. Got up to the top, started skiing down, got to a point that I was like, uh-oh, this is beyond my ability. So I ended up, he said it took me 4.5 hours before I caught up to him. I don't think I was skiing down that mountain for 4.5 hours, but who knows, because I remember taking a look at the signs. Now, if I remember the signs correctly, the green circle was easy, blue square was intermediate, and black diamond was expert, and some of your black diamond slopes are almost straight down. I remember skiing down that mountain and literally taking black diamond, because at that point in the trails, the black diamond was more flat than an intermediate or a beginner. I took one look at some of those intermediate and beginners, and I was like, there is no way I'm going to get down this. So I was kind of crisscrossing the mountain. Come to find out by what I had told him and some of my other co-workers, I had crisscrossed over onto private ski slopes that were owned by condominiums. And that because I would be like, get to a point, I'm like, nope, this beginner's slope is too steep. The intermediate is flatter, we'll take that. Nope, now I'm at too steep and the Black Diamond is flat, I'm going down the Black Diamond till I got to a point that I'm like, oh no, I'm not going any further on this Black Diamond. Here's a beginner slope. I'm going down that and ended up. It was a beautiful. I'll tell you though, it was a beautiful trip down that mountain. I got into some areas that I was skiing through a forest. I crossed a pond. I went over a beautiful stone bridge in between some condominium buildings that were decorated, left over from Christmas. Um, got into some snow sculptures, and it was a beautiful trip down the mountain. Yeah, it took me a while. Don't know how true it was, about 4.5 hours, but yeah. Could I do any of that now? No. No. I am not at the point that I could get back on downhill skis. Would I try cross country skiing? Or should I say, maybe a year ago, would I have tried cross country skiing? Probably. I've done cross country skiing in the past. I've done snowshoeing in the past. Cross country skiing is a little bit easier because you can get that momentum going, whereas snowshoe skiing, you really got to watch how you step. But I've done both in the past. Yeah, probably would not have hesitated to get on some cross country skis. Matter of fact, I was looking for cross country skis and even used. You would have to buy the boots brand new because the boots have to fit you a certain way. But then you have to be careful about used skis because of the fact that the bindings and everything may need to be adjusted, or the bindings may be broken, and you really have to be careful with used skis. But I was looking at some, and the cost was just a way too much. Probably could have rented them locally, but here where I live in New England, we cannot be guaranteed on the weather conditions and how much snow we're going to get. But a couple years ago, a year or so ago, well, I've tried cross country skiing. Yeah, now, not so sure. Not so sure. Life happens fast. Life happens very fast. And like I said, there's some things going on, and it's going to take a while for me to get back to the point that I was at, if at all. Not going into any details on it, but yeah, I've got some things I need to address. So, it's like my seminary pastor has said, do it now because you probably may get to the point that you're not going to have the energy or the health to do it later. And also, sadly, with this economy the way it's going, you may not even have the money to be able to do it later. Do it now. Am I glad for the things that I did do? Absolutely. I worked for a company. We went to the Bahamas on a cruise. Have I not worked at that company, I probably never would have took a cruise or pretty much traveled outside the United States besides Canada. Although some consider the Bahamas the United States because it's right off the coast, but no, it's more a British influence country with some different ethnic backgrounds. So yeah, when I'm going to the Bahamas, probably not. Am I glad I went to the Bahamas and took the cruise? Even though it was a work cruise and we were kind of work mode more than having fun mode. Oh, absolutely. I am glad I got to see the Bahamas. Went to Canada a couple times. Went on my honeymoon to Niagara Falls. Glad I did that. I've traveled up and down the east coast of the United States. Been through a lot of states. Have not really done a lot of activity in a lot of states, but I've traveled through them and made stops. Glad I've done that. I did some hiking in North Carolina. Glad I did that. Did a lot of fishing down in Florida. Glad I did that. Fishing in New England is not the same, but you can still catch some good fish. And glad I'm doing that, or did that. Got back into hunting recently. Glad I'm doing that. So yeah, I've enjoyed life as much as I can. Do I have any regrets and wish I could have did more? Oh, absolutely. I would love to travel internationally overseas at especially at a time when it was a lot safer to do so, and we didn't have the threats of terrorist attacks and some of the wars that going on right now. I would love to do that. Would love the opportunity, but just did not happen in my life, or at least not yet. I'm not dead yet, but I'm getting older. Um, would I love to done a backpacking trip up some mountains like Mount St. Helens? Would I love to backpack up Kilimanjaro? Like some of these famous YouTubers and everything do. Yeah, I would love the experience. Do I have the stamina to do that? No. Did I ever have the stamina to do that? No. There's a lot of training. And if I was to go through that training, it would have been a lot easier in my teens and 20s just to set out and do that. Some people, they just hop on a plane and take off. They don't know what's going to happen when they get there. They just book a ticket. They'll find a hotel if they get there. They'll rent camping gear when they get there. They're just carefree and travel. That's something that's not in the cards as I'm older. The thought of hopping on a plane, landing somewhere, not knowing anybody, not knowing the area, not knowing where I'm going to sleep, if there's a hotel available, what the restaurants are like that. Oh, the thought of it is great, being carefree and just being able to do all that. But now we also live in a time that it's a lot more dangerous in the world to do that. Things are changing. That's why I say do it while you're young. Even here in the United States, we now got to be more careful than we used to. When I was younger, no, absolutely not. I was totally, more carefree when I was in my teens and 20s, just to get in the car with a friend or two and drive. And when I was 16, a friend and I, we took off to New York City. Parents didn't know it. We took off to New York City. Called him up later and said, we're going to be home a little late because we're out. And they asked where we were. And I said, well, right now I'm on Wall Street. Oh, they were not happy. But my friend and I, my friend, his girlfriend, and I did it. Hopped in the car, went to New York City. Did it with just a friend and I. So actually, we did that twice. Yeah, twice we hopped in the car, went to New York City, and spent the day. Matter of fact, on the trip when it was just a Friday night, he had said he wanted to see the Statue of Liberty because he never saw the Statue of Liberty. So we were driving around. Now, at the time, there was really pretty much only one exit for New York City. That one exit would dump you into the worst section of the South Bronx, where, yeah, there were a lot of strip cars, graffiti, and all that other stuff. And we were driving around New York City, ended up in Brooklyn, and I saw a police officer, so I pulled up behind him. The way the road was, there was this big, huge median area, and he was parked at the median area, so I pulled up behind him, got out, kind of asked him directions on where to see the Statue of Liberty. First thing he said to me was, I can tell you're not from here because do not get out of your car or stop anywhere to ask directions, even if I am a cop sitting in the middle of a median strip. Do not ever get out of your car, especially in this neighborhood. But he told us where we could see, gave us directions. It ended up being in Jersey City and New Jersey. So we drove down to New Jersey, saw the Statue of Liberty. On the way back, got lost, ended up on a restricted area, which I think was maybe an Air Force base. Sign said that, it was an active area for bombing training. And yeah, and drove back. And another story behind that is I also lost the front brakes on my car, so we were driving back using the emergency brake. Two 16-year-old kids in a older Datsun 210 4-speed thing, had almost 100,000 miles on it. Just took off. We did it. Didn't get into trouble. Didn't get robbed or anything. But nowadays, although New York has gotten a lot safer than what it used to be, there's still some bad areas, but compared to what it was like back in the 70s and 80s, yeah. But yeah, we did it when we were young. Not giving you advice to actually go and do something foolish now. Don't get me wrong on there. Don't get me wrong. Don't be foolish. Don't put yourself at risk. But if you're going to do something, do it when you're young. Take that trip. Rent a van. Travel the country. Got the health and means to go overseas to safe areas, safe countries. Go overseas. Don't wait. You want to hike and climb a mountain? Do it now. Don't wait till you're older. It gets tougher. Your body and your bones start breaking down. You don't have the stamina you used to. Do it now. Do it now. Get out there and do it now. Best thing you can do is get yourself right spiritually as well. I'm not going to go into religions or stuff like that, but get yourself set spiritually. Have a good mindset. Know what makes you happy. Know what upsets you. Get yourself spiritually set now. Times are changing. Things are happening. Do it now, because if you don't do it now, you won't. You won't do it. There'll always be some excuse. There'll always be some expense. There'll always be something eating at your time. Make a point. Do it now. Get yourself spiritually set. Get your mind in order. Take those trips. Enjoy your life. You know, I'm not saying to wait on a career opportunity if that's really what you want to do, but, you know, back in my 20s and 30s, my biggest career goal was to work in IT, work with computers. I went to high school to take computers, vocational high school. I transferred out of my public school. Went to college to take computer programming. Got an associate's degree in computer programming. Got a bachelor's degree in computer technology from an online school. Yeah, I'm not going to discuss all things that go on with online schools. Really need to check them out, but I got a bachelor's degree in computer technology. Is that doing me good? Any good today? Well, I put a lot of years into a career. I spent 25 years, if not more. Well, close to 25 years into a career. Then the recession of 2009 happened. All the good IT jobs went away, especially in the area that I was living in. And if you know anything about Research Triangle Park in North Carolina, one of the biggest IT areas on the East Coast, IBM had 3 buildings that were 4-story tall. They were operating out of half of one building. GlaxoSmithKline had 2 huge buildings, huge pharmacy. Matter of fact, they had 3 buildings. Huge pharmaceutical company. They were down. They cut down to operating out of one building. Huge electrical company. Forget their name. They had a Japanese name. Guy at the guard shack when I went to drop off my resume said they had just laid off 200 people the week before, and another 150 were being laid off that week. In about a month's time, they were closing down, and there would be no more U.S. influence. It would only be a Japanese company in Japan. A lot of buildings went up for sale in Research Triangle Park. A lot of companies moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, and that became the new IT Central. And then a lot of them moved out of there as well. A lot of companies you don't even hear about anymore. So, am I glad I went to school at the time? Yeah. Am I glad I focused that much into a career? Looking back, I'm glad I had the career, but I probably would have spent more time on my personal experiences, more time vacationing, than I did devoting everything to that career. I would have used my vacation time probably a lot more than what I did. And probably would have said no or cut back on all that overtime that I worked. Can't get back that time that was lost. Money was great, but ended up spending a lot of that money on health issues and living in areas that for a long time that I wish I did not spend that much time living in. So there were some regrets. You know, jobs will come and go, money will come and go. You can always earn more, you can always earn less. Can you get time back? No. You cannot get time back. You cannot make time. I hear a lot of people say, well, make time to do this. What they really mean is find out when you're going to get it done and get it done. When you're going to do it and do it. You know, but the portion that says make time, you cannot not make time. Once that time is gone, it's gone. You cannot catch up. People say they're going to catch up on their sleep. All that means is they're going to get the rest more and get the rest that they should have gotten a while ago, that they should have gotten all along. As far as catching up, yeah, you'll never catch up. That time is gone. Time goes. It flies. You cannot make time up. You cannot make more time. You can waste time. You can use your time foolishly. You can spend a lot of time being unhappy. You can spend a lot of time doing things to be unhealthy, which you'll end up paying for in the long run. But yeah, time is fleeting. Do it now because you won't do it in the future. Or if you do it in the future, it's not going to be in the capacity that you could do it in the past. Do it now. Don't wait. If you're young, make it a point in your life to make sure that you're spiritually set. Make it a point in your life that you make time to get out and enjoy nature, get out from in front of the TV, get out in front of those video games. I don't see how there are YouTubers that can play video games for 8 to 12 to 14 hours a day. Not sure, that's something that they enjoy, but it's not me. But yeah, if you have a plan, if you have a desire, do it now. Do it now. Don't wait. A lot of things I regret waiting on. A lot of things I regret that I did. Don't wait till you're in your 50s, 60s, or retirement and sit there saying, I wish I had, I wish I did, I regret, why didn't I? Do it now. Get out in nature, hike that trail, take that canoe out, kayak that river. If you're into skydiving, which is something I would never ever consider, make that jump, climb that mountain, go camping, spend time with your loved ones. If work calls, make a sound judgment on whether or not it's going to be worth going in on your day off versus the time you're going to miss with your family or family events. Spend time with your kids. 18 years goes by fast. Like I said, it was hard to believe that I spent 20 years in North Carolina. Looking back, other than the trips that I've had to the Outer Banks, the Blue Ridge Parkway, time we went out to almost Tennessee to Cherokee, time on the coast. Other than that, I was like, what were those 20 years all about? Working those jobs, all those hours, living in a home that my wife was really not happy in. I kind of enjoyed the home in a way because I could garden, I could be out in the yard, I could do some of my nature photography right from my yard, but There are a lot of maintenance issues that happened over time. A lot of things owning a home um, took away from time and money because, like my seminary pastor said, you got to make a decision if home ownership is even right for you, because you're talking about if you spend your full mortgage. Now, the average person really only spends 7 years or so in a home or an apartment. Well, an apartment, a lot of people move within a year or two or three, but home ownership, a lot of people move within 7 years. That used to be the statistic. But if you stay for the long run, you're 20, 30, then 40. They now even have 50-year mortgages. Very rarely do you see a 15-year mortgage where, unless you're making the extra payments, a lot of places will not write a 15-year mortgage anymore. But, like my seminary pastor said, once you buy that thing, it owns you. Yeah, there goes my phone again. Speaking of owning, these smart cell phones, they practically own you. You're always looking at them, always checking the notifications. But yeah, anyway. So once you buy a home, it pretty much owns you. You have to mow it, paint it, repair it. You have to pay on it. Your home owns you. So, and especially if you buy a manufactured home and you find out a lot of things weren't done right, even though they were a top of the line company back then. So that's why I always question some of these tiny homes that they're coming out. Yeah, oh yeah, the tiny homes are beautiful, but I question some of the manufacturers because I lived in mobile homes, manufactured housing. But yeah, it owns you. Stuff you buy ultimately ends up owning you because you got to store it. I've downsized and got rid of a lot of my stuff. I've closed down most of my online businesses because of the economy and fees and everything. But looking back, that business, I didn't own that business. It owned me. I spent a lot of time creating products, posting images, checking the finances, buying supplies and all that. It owned me. It actually took time away that I could have been out in nature, hiking, doing photography and all that. It owned me. Things will own you. Think about your choices. And if you're going to do something that's within your passion, do it now. Don't wait. Yes, passions change. You may find out that it's not for you. And if you're going to do something that is within your passion that you think you might want as a job, be very careful. Because once you turn something into a job, there's a lot of things that go with it. A lot of things. Paperwork, time, especially if you're on a YouTube channel. YouTube is a strange bird. If you don't post videos like every week or every 2 weeks, people think you're no longer posting and they stop watching you. The algorithm changes. Views drop for no reason at all. Revenue changes. It's a strange bird. And I turned my photography passion into a job at one time, and it was a lot of work. I enjoyed doing the portrait photography, and I enjoyed doing events. Got a little bit into real estate photography for a realtor that was trying to sell my property, but there was a lot of time. A lot of things changed with that I totally dreaded, which was the paperwork, filing the state income tax statements every month or quarterly, whether or not I had income or not. Those statements still have to be filed. A lot of paperwork, tracking expenses, buying new gear. My passion turned into a job. And did I like what I was doing? Absolutely. I loved it. But also, it was kind of also a grind, trying to get clients, trying to get gigs. Musicians talk about getting gigs, but, trying to get clients, trying to get gigs, trying to get that next job. wondering where that paycheck is going to come from. And, sometimes you got to ask if it's really worth it, so choose your time wisely. It's fast. I did that photography business for about 10 years. 10 years. That could have been time that I was out, hiking and fishing. Would I get back into a photography or a video business? It would totally be on a different scale and different level. It would be something I really have to think about, and what type of photography and what type of video I would get into the future if I was to pursue it again, outside of YouTube. Why do I do YouTube? I love it. I understand that, with the algorithm and stuff like that, I'm not going to get rich. I would like to get monetized and have it help me support me, but I am not chasing sponsors. There's a lot of things that go along with sponsorship. I am not chasing the algorithm, because the algorithm changes. I am not chasing becoming a full-time YouTuber, although I will probably end up posting more and different things to go along with the niche that I'm in. But yeah, I'm choosing my time wisely. I'm going to do the things that make me happy. I'm going to do the things, that I want to do now, before I get to a point in my life where absolutely I cannot do them anymore. I'm getting older. There's some stuff that, I question whether or not I can continue doing. So, yeah, do it now. Don't wait. Do it now. So I'm going to go ahead and end this podcast here. I know some of it was a little bit of a ramble. I know some of it was me kind of talking personally, but I hope you got something out of this. Don't put off your passions. Don't wait to do so. Don't wait. Time is quick. Did I ever think I would find myself at 55 years old saying these things? No. And you know what the sad part is? Technically, and I gotta be careful how I say this because people will take this the wrong way. Technically, my mind still thinks I'm in my 20s, but my body says, try that and you'll regret it. There's a lot of things I still think I can do. My body says, no, you can't do it. You can't do it. Try it and see how you feel tomorrow morning. Try it and see how far you get. So I got to operate within my own capacity. Can't do the things I used to. So don't wait. Don't wait. Travel. Take that trip. Take that hike. Go camping. Kayak. Swim. Backpack. Get out in nature. Find your peace of mind. Renew yourself. Recharge your energy. Don't stay stuck in the cities. Don't stay stuck behind a computer. Don't stay stuck at work. Find your balance in life. Do it now. And also do it minimally. Do not let possessions own you, because then you gotta, when I had my crafting business, I had to find a place to store it when I wasn't crafting. I had to market it. I had to make it, so it ended up owning me, taking over areas. This is the cleanest my office and studio has ever been in about 30 years. And finally got an office and studio that I always said I wanted to once have. A sit down area that I could just come in and chill. I can also use it for making podcasts, more casual talks, which when I finish this, I won't be sitting behind a desk. I'll be sitting over there just more casual. I'm getting to the point that getting to the office that I always wanted to have. Took me 30 years to do it because my stuff and my career choices owned me. My business owned me. my home I was living in North Carolina. Ultimately, with the amount of repairs and everything else that was going on with it, repairs from storms, stuff breaking. We had termites come in because of the way the air conditioning was put in and an area of always being wet. That house ended up owning me. I was constantly doing repairs the last couple years that I lived there and had no time. Don't let your possessions own you. Set yourself up a life that you have balance. You can go out and enjoy things and get out there now while you're still young. I have a lot of friends that are my age, are a little bit older than me, that can't do it anymore. They just can't get out. They also, some of them just don't want to. They just don't want to do it anymore. With those Generation Xers, people that were born in the late 60s through early to mid 80s, unfortunately, a lot of my friends are gone now. A lot of people I went to school with are gone. They're no longer with us. Whether that be accidents, had a few that were suicides, had a few that had health issues. A lot of us, we weren't the healthy generation with our eating habits because it was the height of McDonald's, fast food, TV dinners, plus the lifestyle that we lived. You don't hear about people smoking, but back in the 80s, there was a lot of teenage smoking. We're known as the unhealthy generation, and a lot of my friends and, a few of my friends, but every year I'm just hearing more and more pass away before the 60s. Don't wait. Things happen, times change, you never know. Don't wait. Don't let yourself have any regrets. So that's today's little short inspiration, little short podcast. For those of you who might have thought it was a little bit of a downer, it wasn't meant to be a downer. It was meant to tell you, seize that opportunity. Do it now. Do it now while you can. Enjoy life. Enjoy your friends. Enjoy your family. Get your mind right. Get yourself right spiritually. For a lot of us, that means many different things when I say spiritually. For the sake of this podcast, I am going to say spiritually as in getting your mind right, finding joy in the little things. But if you really want to know, I am a Christian. And I totally believe in God and Jesus Christ. Totally put my faith in Him. I've seen the miracles. But if that's not your faith of spirituality or the track that you're on, you and I can have a off-camera conversation about that if you want answers and you have questions about that. But if some of you practice other things, just make sure you're finding joy and love, being happy. Think about your future. What do you want your future to look like? Do you want to have regrets or not? So that's today's little bit of a ramble and podcast. I suggest you really get out there and enjoy it. We'll see you the next time. I'm not sure exactly what the topic's going to be the next time. A lot of it also depends on what's going to happen with this weather. I've not brought up any plans on talking about hiking or getting out for the springtime because right now this long range forecast is really not favorable with this El Nino pattern, but we'll see you in the next podcast, and hopefully I'll have some videos soon on being outdoors. We'll see, because right now it's cold. Wind chills are in the single digits. We had some snow flurries this morning, but yeah, we'll see. It's winter in New England. Weather is unpredictable. So we'll see you the next time.